Hello and welcome to this episode of Making Connections, the BattleCON analysis show where I, your host, Marco Dos Santos, also known as Mechanic Critic, try my best not to do so badly at BattleCON Online. In the previous episode, we did pretty okay in BattleCON Online, but not ideal with the new character, Carolyn. However, she's not the only new thing in this patch because this patch also updates one of our other fighters. So in this episode, we're gonna check that out.
It's a good fight.
And it will be a good fight. Seasons B or Season SB? I'm actually not sure how to pronounce that. Regardless, welcome everyone, and I'm playing some 7, and I'm really excited to show all of you some cool 7 gameplay. So we'll discard the typical discards, which detached is not really that useful since all of Hikaru's hit effects are usually token regainers. This is probably best, sure. Oh, with feelings changed. Interesting. So a lot of stuff actually happened in the new patch, and essentially 7 gets really interesting things. So notice how Undaunted gives the opponent -2 power, I believe? Yeah, -2 power if they are at range 3+. This is kind of like to combat 7's weaknesses against a lot of ranged characters, and also to combat her weakness at low health. Of course, Terrified is still terrified. And I am in love. Cold also has some decent stats on it, and the changes like this. So basically what ended up happening is that a lot of her cards ended up getting more stats. So notice how Excited no longer has power -1, and instead it has power +0. So what actually ended up happening to 7 is that she ended up getting a little bit more stats and a little bit more survivability as an end result. So we have 30 seconds left to think about this beat. Hikaru discarded typical Hikaru discards. We are probably expecting a Geo Drive or something like that. Or a Geo Shot. So probably the line of play
Check this out.
is to get... Yeah. Okay, chill. We'll probably just dodge this beat and see whether or not Hikaru decides to waste tokens. So this is going to be some next level stuff, but I'm going to wait a bit before anti-ing.
What about that one?
So you may be wondering why I did that. This is all to kind of bluff and make it seem like I thought about what my attack was, when in reality we're just dodging and we were planning to pass from the very start. I know that this isn't always a valid strategy that will work, but you can eke out little advantages like that. Hopefully you end up winning the game because of it. So now my opponent's double thinking, what are they doing? Probably they're gonna pass as well. No, adding range. So that means it's probably the drive. Which is okay, I think.
Maybe that?
Yeah, no. It's probably the drive. Geo Burst! Interesting. I like that line of play. So I can go here, my opponent can retreat 1, but I have after retreat 1 or 2. So this will end with both of us at range 5.
Leave me alone.
This was a very good beat for me. Hikaru is now at range 4+ without water token, which means that his only way to even actually hit me next beat is to advancing shot. And that's not going to be very good games for the Hikaru player. Oh, why did Hikaru apply fire? This must be my opponent thinking that they're gonna hit. They probably did not read that Reserved has an after activating effect that allows me to retreat 1 space, and since I am active player, I go first, so I retreat 1 space. Hikaru misses, and we are way ahead of this game. You know, my opponent must have made the mistake, didn't read the cards properly, and that's absolutely fine. So now we are in the privileged situation of being up against a Hikaru who can only do this freaking thing. That's only 4 damage. Oh, right, the before trigger is now no longer contingent on how much damage you take. So I just now get a free Undaunted. Yeah. Or I could just Cold Shot. Cold Shot is probably the better play right now. Yeah, Cold Shot it is. Opponent's likely gonna hit me with Advancing Shot. I mean, I could do next level plays and do this. Because this will hit as well and clash Advancing Shot. Then I can revert to my own Undaunted Shot. You know what? That seems like a good line of play in my mind. So we'll do it. So the problem here is, what if Hikaru antis Wind Token? Then the answer will be I'll anti-stun card. So I'll pass. See what Hikaru antis. Again, giving the priority to your opponent is very important. Did nothing. Interesting. Okay, so I can advance 2.
Come here.
And I can advance 2.
Did it work?
Next time.
Quite a bit unfortunate for me, in my opinion, because I only got 3 damage out, and he didn't waste a token. That's pretty good. My opponent will probably dodge, since that seems to be the correct play most of the time in this situation. A drive is pretty scary, but none of his drives are that scary, and a cold strike would just destroy him no matter what he does. So I could just go for either remote or burst, but in my situation, it's probably best for me to just do cold strike. Does he have trance? Yes, they do have trance. Oh, that might change things. I might just do detached strike instead. This way, if my opponent decides to try to gain any counters, I benefit from it and negate those counters, right?
This'll be over quick.
And then I can flash his trance dodge, which he probably wants to do given that he doesn't have fire token, which is Hikaru's best token. So I will wait here, do nothing, hopefully gain a huge advantage from this. There's nothing Hikaru can do without fire token that deals more than 7 damage, so I'm not really concerned about that. Really, what I'm more concerned about is whether or not my opponent decides to do anything. I don't think my opponent can really do much in this situation. Oh, advancing drive. Okay. It's okay. So this isn't one of the situations I was thinking about, right? This isn't the dodge, and this isn't any token regain. However, because of the general attack space on my card, this turns out completely fine.
Feel the power of the elements.
Don't worry, I'm just fine.
I can advance or retreat 1 space. Or not move, of course. I probably want to retreat 1 space. That way, like, Hikaru doesn't have his ranged options.
What's that?
So he's gonna be forced to do Palm Strike to even hit right now. And that's not fun. So, yeah. Without any of his scary stuff, it could just be the trance dodge. I am heavily leaning on it being trance dodge, but I can't really do much against trance dodge. I could remote dodge. That could be a useful line of play. So what remote dodge does is it essentially lets me get to maximum range against Hikaru, and that's bad news bears for him in the long run, because I can then just do the same Undaunted drive mix-up I did. That's actually a good line of play. This also clashes trance dodge. And once it clashes trance dodge, Hikaru can't actually do anything to hit me. So I believe this is the best course of action. So essentially, all the changes that 7 got essentially just make her a little bit more consistent and make it so that she doesn't have to tank hits all the time in order to gain her stuff. I mean, the biggest example, of course, being Undaunted. Like, Undaunted works whether or not the opponent hits you. So now it's more reliable and less reliant on 7 eating damage, which means that 7 can act like actual 7 on her front side, or her unupgraded side, in the sense that 7 can now actually act like a controller that she's meant to be on the front side. So notice how I'm heavily controlling my opponent. This is a valid play. This means my opponent is trying to go for an actual attack, or this could just be the trance mix-up. This could easily also be a trance strike, but that also clashes. So it might be an interesting line. Okay, a focused burst is technically ideal for me. We want to go to max range against Hikaru.
Ooh, what's that?
Retreat 1 space. And now Hikaru is stuck on the opposite side of the board, and I'm just living happily on this side of the board. Oh, this one has advance up to 1. That's really useful. I think that's new. But I will not. Staying at range 6 seems to be optimal for me, in my opinion. That's good, that's good. Alright, so now we're both at max range. So what a lot of people would do in this situation is attempt to hit Hikaru. And that's not a bad play, not at all. However, one thing that 7 can do is just heal for free. So why not?
Should be no problem
This is
at all.
completely unclashable by Hikaru's standards, since none of Hikaru's styles are negative priority, which means that Hikaru can't stop this from happening. So sure, Hikaru's gonna get a trance dodge in. So what the best play on my opponent's side is probably going to be trance dodging into the center space. That's completely fine by my standards. So let's just take this time to switch absorption into some health. Priority. I don't know what my opponent is necessarily doing. They could be a new player. Yep, it seems like they are indeed a new player. So this is kinda okay. So a trance shot is all well and good, because if I decided to move even a teeny tiny bit, I would have gotten hit for 3 damage, and he would have gotten a token back. Probably gonna get fire token back, since it's your best token. Oh, Earth is pretty good too, second best in my opinion. However, on my end, I'm not gonna swap finisher cards. I just healed 2 health for free, and Hikaru still cannot do anything this beat. In fact, I don't think Hikaru can hit at all. Advancing drive is the fastest he'll go, and that will go 1, 2, 3. So long as I do sympathetic shot, I think I actually destroy him. I could also do undaunted shot. Actually, undaunted shot might be better. That way I don't start a beat close in.
I don't
Yeah,
wanna.
undaunted shot. I'm gonna anti-power on top of this, mostly because I'm pretty sure
Alright, then.
there's nothing Hikaru can do to counter this thing. I'm gonna anti-power.
Ooh.
Yeah. So Hikaru should probably anti-nothing if this is gonna be a dodge play. There we go. So this is a common mistake many new players make. Had the Hikaru just played trance dodge the previous beat and then went into the center space, I wouldn't have gotten 2 beats worth of free stuff. But now, because my opponent decided to split the trance and the dodge, I'm able to essentially not only heal 2 health, but also deal 4 damage here. That's a 6 health life differential, all because my opponent didn't want to trance dodge on that 1 beat, expecting that I was gonna hit them. This is quite unfortunate for my opponent, and even worse than all of that is the fact that now I have dodge myself. So I'm not really even scared of any of my opponent's options. So, 4 wins. Oh wait, it's 4 wins. It's not even Wrath of the Elements, so I'm not really that scared. Let's see. I'm probably gonna eat the 4 wins. So we might as well check it out. Remote dodge. Remote dodge is really good. If the Hikaru decides to do advancing or palm strike, that's gonna be really great because Hikaru is gonna advancing and then go past me. If it's advancing palm strike, or just advance into here, and then I can do dodge past them and then use remote to retreat. That establishes maximum range, and it's gonna be the same thing again. Hikaru is gonna have to try to keep up with me and try to catch up. This is actually a really good matchup for 7. Ooh, they're going fast. As a wise BattleCon player always told me, never not anti-priority. However, I don't need to,
Maybe.
so I think I'm fine. So unless this is some sort of weird burst clash play, remote dodge should be fine. It's definitely not 4 wins. What could this be? You know what? I should just anti the priority as a safety measure. And also because I'm a huge coward. Because I don't want to... Ooh, soak. So it seems like my opponent's going all out on this attack. Ooh, probably a Geo. Huh. That's a cool... That's an interesting...
I'll hang back.
Well, my opponent misses. So I'll fail to retreat with remote first. Then I'll retreat 1 space with dodge.
Ooh, what's that?
My opponent attempts to hit, does not. Then I do not advance because I am not a silly boy. You want to be as far away from Hikaru as possible. Okay, so what are Hikaru's options right now? Hikaru's options are advancing drive or anything shot. He only has speed token, so I think a sympathetic strike would be okay. Sympathetic strike basically wins the trades against everything. So I think this is all well and good. Sympathetic strike is a really powerful attack there. Range 1 to 4 and soak 2 and power 4. Ooh.
Try that.
It's kind of like a weaker clockwork that gives you range. This is a range plus 0 to 3 style. That's really good. So I'm glad I got sympathetic out. Oh, my opponent can do fast. So usually you would counter anti-priority just to not get clashed. But my attack is 1 priority. Without burst, Hikaru can't actually hit 1 priority, so I'm gonna let Hikaru go first, no matter what. I'm gonna anti-power on top of this to deal more damage. It's all about understanding your opponent's options, right? My opponent doesn't have burst, doesn't have dodge. That means there's no way for Hikaru to actually retreat, which means sympathetic strike's always gonna hit. Come on, Hikaru, come. I dare you. I challenge you. No need for speed, no need for anything else. Let it happen. There you go. A focused shot. So I will take 1 damage. So I need to close 2 to hit.
Come here.
Come here. So my opponent will probably regain fire or earth. Most likely earth, given my opponent's mentality so far. They tend to play safe. They tend to play conservative. Ooh, water. Interesting.
That's it?
Down, but I'm not out.
Down, but not out. I see now. Well, no, I don't see, because this revokes all the elemental tokens. How much damage is your highest? 4, 5? Shucks, it's 5. It's this plus wind plus...
All right then.
I mean, if I just Undaunted Shot, I win most of the time. So,
Excellent.
there you go, Undaunted Shot. We win most of the time. Unless my opponent dodges. And that's fine. Because if my opponent dodges... oh no, it's not fine, because I'm going to end up cornering myself. Ooh, that might be a tough thing to come back from. Range. So they probably were expecting Reserved, which is this green style. Reserved like makes Hikaru such a sad boy because Hikaru basically has no range. So if he can't get adjacent to me, he can't hit. I definitely have the anti-power here because if my opponent lets me hit them, I win. So how could I not take the win, right? I feel like a lot of people wouldn't have anti-power here, thinking that, oh, he's gonna dodge. But, you know, you take the off chance that your opponent makes a mistake and force them to dodge. So, yeah, hopefully I end up winning. Given my opponent's play, this probably is a trance dodge. But I can't, like, I just can't let them do it for free. Oh. GG. Alright. See, that's what I was talking about. You just don't let your opponent get it for free. So my opponent will deal...
Closing in.
4 damage, I believe. There you go.
Black
I have enough
Shadow
guard to
Fall.
do that. So my opponent will regain the token because of their effect. Regains the soak, but that doesn't matter. It's my turn. I'm forced to advance into the corner, and then I whack back for 4. Well played.
Seems I still have a bit to learn.
I guess your dreams were just dreams.
I'll explain why that's funny in the post-game analysis. Alright, that was an interesting game with 7 against Hikaru. Probably one of 7's better matchups, because Hikaru usually can't deal with the control and the amount of retreat that 7 has. And now that 7 has been made more consistent by her changes to a lot of her cards, 7 just works way better against Hikaru, and that's just a good matchup for me. So that ending line she says, I guess your dreams were just dreams, makes me giggle a bit, because it reminds me of that like meme that's like, don't let your dreams be dreams. So I guess it's pretty funny to me. So what went right that matchup? Simply put, I played the 7 versus Hikaru matchup the way it should be played. You retreat as far away from Hikaru as possible, stay as far away from Hikaru as possible, and then when he comes in, you whack him. Hikaru doesn't really deal that much damage without his fire token, and I think a big problem my opponent had was that they were not exerting pressure on me. Instead of getting their fire token back, they kept getting wind and water and earth. These are all good plays. However, if I'm not scared of anything you're doing, then there's no threat. And if there's no threat, I can just do whatever the heck I want. And this is the crux of that matchup. The less threats Hikaru has, the more time 7 just gets to dawdle around. And the more time 7 gets to dawdle around, the more time she can do absorption, the more time she can just get more force, the more time she can just do whatever. 7 is really good when the timer's going low. She has a lot of damage mitigation, and she has a lot of dodge effects. So with all of that combined, Hikaru was supposed to be hard-pressed to try and kill me as soon as possible. However, it seems like Hikaru was more threatened by me than I was of him. As a result, Hikaru ended up getting some really weird beats, and that was just quite unfortunate for him. So next time you play this Hikaru versus 7 matchup, to all 7 players, I highly recommend doing what you just saw. Keep the distance, control Hikaru, and make him scared of your options. For Hikaru players, I highly suggest just eating the damage on your trance dodges when you try to get in. Try not to play burst as often as that person did. They played burst twice, which I don't feel like is absolutely correct given 7's hit confirm and the fact that Hikaru hates being at range. And of course, as Hikaru, try to get your fire token back. It's the only thing that scares a lot of characters. I know Earth token is good, and I know the other tokens are good as well, but without any threat, Hikaru deals 3, 4, 5 damage, and nobody's scared of that. So, that pretty much does it for this episode of Making Connections. I hope all of you enjoyed. Don't forget to give us a like, a comment, and of course, if you like this video, share it with a friend, and if you hate it, share it with a frenemy. As usual, it's been me, your host, Marco DeSantos, also known as Mechanic Critic. Don't forget your special actions, and thank you, World of Indians. Thank you, good night.